Welcome back to Sidestreets and Intersections here on IntellectualRadio.com. I am your host, Angela Chen, with my sidekick, my daughter, Miss Erica Ava Lynn. And we have you may see two young men sitting next to us. This week's topic is entitled Why We Must Do Everything to Keep the Black Family Together. I'm just going to give you a little background. These are my daughter's two brothers. And it's interesting that my daughter, when she was younger, she would ask me, Mom, and even recently she would ask me, Mom, if something happens to you, who will I have? I'll be in the world by myself. And on this past Friday, my daughter and I were going through that mother and daughter thing that mothers and daughters go through.
Yeah.
And I was so frustrated. And she made mention that she wanted to see her father. And driving home, I made a U-turn to go and see her father. And her father, for all you house heads out there, is Adonis. He is the creator of No Way Back. We're rocking down the house. And he and we dated some many moons ago. And
26,
some 26 years ago.
Many moons.
And as fate would have it, I wound up getting pregnant by him, and we would have a beautiful baby girl that I named Erica. But as the story goes, for a lot of women and African American men out there, I became a single parent. It wasn't something that I particularly had chosen. It was just the way life had decided is fate for me. While I was never upset at the fact that her father was not really active in her life, and I, as a mother, had always longed that she would have the relationship with him, I was always open to the fact that after learning that she had siblings, that it was very important and imperative for her to get to know who her brothers and sisters were. So I was always very, very open to that. Even though the relationship did not work out between he and I on a personal level, I never bashed him to my daughter. And here we are.
Sure.
Here we are, 26 years in the future. And I think the last time, I've given you guys.
Let's do some introductions.
Yeah, let's do some introductions. Because I'm going down memory lane. You know how when we have a tendency to do that. So I'll let you introduce your brothers. How about that?
Okay. Well, this one sitting to my left here is Amon Ra. Forgive me.
Hello.
He is. Say something about yourself.
I'm 26 years old.
Uh-huh.
I'm about to be 26 next month, and born in Chicago, South Side, West Side, and yeah.
That works. Okay. And you on the end?
My name is Patah Smith. Same here, born in Chicago, raised. Had a pretty okay upbringing. Everything was, pretty much well. So, I'm here today, talking.
Okay.
Share some information about myself.
Oh, this is the first time that we've been around each other in over 10 years. I believe that it was maybe like 12 years ago, maybe?
It's been about 10, 12 years since we've seen each other. The last time we seen each other, you were taller than me.
Yeah.
So, it's been some time.
Life happened. Puberty happened to all of us. So, like she said, we were riding down the West Side, and I was like, we were actually having like this huge argument, and I'm like, I want to see my dad for whatever reason. And then once we started arguing, I did not want to see him anymore because I was not in a good mood, and I was like, this is just going to be a disaster, so how about we not do that? And ultimately, we end up on the block, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Um, I hadn't, once again, like I said, I hadn't been there, hadn't seen him. So that was about 16, maybe about 10 years ago or so. And as I'm talking to him, he's talking to my mom. They're catching up or whatever it is that they do. And he sends me up to talk to my grandmother, my great grandmother. Okay. His mom, which is my grandma, she's deaf and mute. Okay. So that's a little interesting there. And, not being around for so long, not ever really having a relationship, and then not even being able to communicate what I want to be able to communicate is a hard thing to deal with. So I come up there to speak it through. So then I go visit my great grandma, Boo, who is 95 now?
Yeah, 94, 95.
Right. Last time I saw her, once again, over 10 years ago, she was thriving and up and able to talk and everything. Now she's like, what's wrong? She has Alzheimer's, dementia.
Yeah, she has a little bit of Alzheimer's, a little dementia, and a little bit of gangrene, I believe. So, she's pretty much bedbound, but she's doing pretty well for her, for her age.
She's hanging in there.
Yeah. So, for me, this is before I saw them. For me personally, it was kind of hard to come to terms with, like, wanting to care and caring genuinely as a person, but not having that relationship, with someone who is in certain positions. So I go back outside, go talk to my dad again, and then I see this fella, and I'm like, wait a minute, I see a little resemblance between him and my dad initially. So I'm like, okay, wait, are you my brother kind of thing? And then it's like, yeah. And then he comes along. I'm like, oh, wait, you're my brother too kind of thing. Yeah. So that happened. And like you said, last time we saw each other, he was like, they were little, like they were like, like they were short and scrawny and just things like, oh, wow.
Yeah, initially when I had walked up and saw you all on the porch, I had no idea that it was you all up there.
Yeah.
I didn't know who you all were because Dad, doesn't get too many visitors. So when you all came, I walked up there and I was like, wait, you are my sister, and I had to it just hit me because it's been so long.
How did that feel initially?
It was like a long awaited, being reunited after so long.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's like I knew you existed. I knew, you all were out there somewhere in the city or wherever you all were. But, been going through the things that I've been going through in my teenage years in high school and some college and whatnot, just, I wasn't able to find you all like that, So, as God would have it, we came back together and see each other and we're here now. So.
And I think what's so amazing is that so often in circumstances like this, you have the mother who still has that jaded perspective, but I never had that perspective against any of the mothers and the children. I was always very open that there would be a relationship. As I've gotten older, the thought does cross my mind, what if something were to happen to me? Where would my daughter go? Who would she connect with? And that's a very interesting, as well as sometimes very scary emotion to deal with, knowing that you have an only child, but you don't want her to be left in the world alone. And so, as you all have witnessed, even from the last time you guys saw me, I'm still very optimistic, still very open-minded, and without hesitation, I immediately said, hey, come on, you guys, come on, go to the house for the weekend. And so all weekend they've been at the house, and we went out to eat and just exchange ideas.
It's been a good time. Yeah.
And so let me just also say that her two brothers, they grew up in a Muslim household.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things that my daughter
did not.
A lot of things that my daughter had been exposed to, some of the experiences you all did not have. And that's not to slight or say that anything is different or bad, but I think what makes it interesting is that you guys bring a sense of calmness to the equation. where you guys are very observant about things. And my daughter, who is worldly on a lot of levels and is quite expressive, she's able to now have some form of balance. And so I think that as a mother, that makes me feel a little bit more relaxed. And now I can begin to focus on me. And I hope that doesn't sound selfish out there to mothers listening out there. But now I can kind of focus on me because she now has her family, more of her extended family. And particularly, I don't look at brothers and sisters as half brothers and half sisters. You all are brothers and sisters because you all share a bloodline. And I think what's even more interesting is that the relationship that I have with your dad, meaning that I immediately reached out to your mother. You all can confirm this. And just, extended the opportunity for her and I to get together to have lunch and kind of catch up on some times, and just to know that she still has an extension in her life as well, because it's interesting having grown up and been single mothers. Now, you all had the experience of having your dad in your life than any of the other children. And just so that we know that there are how many of you guys out there?
7?
Yes, there's about 7 of us, 7 siblings. So,
I'm starting to feel like we should go on a mission, like find everybody, and then it's like a fantasy thing. Okay, you find everyone, and then this power family, and turn everything around. It's
united.
that type of thing. That'd be cool, actually.
So so let me just say this. When I saw you guys, I thought about how imperative it is that as mothers, women, if you're listening out there, you're visually observing us today, is that it is incumbent upon us, as well as the fathers, but particularly mothers, because I'm a mother, that we do everything in our power to hold the Black family together. We cannot be at odds with one another because we didn't wound up what we believe to be the prize. There are lives here. And if we're talking about Black Lives Matter, then there are 3 lives sitting here that matter. Therefore, we must continuously to do everything in our power as Black women to make sure that the relationships with our African American men, fathers of our children, that we do everything in our power to make sure that we hold and do our part to hold the Black family together, so that we don't have episodes like this where we have siblings that haven't seen each other in 10 and 12 years. On that note, this is Angela Champ for Sidestreets and Intersections. We're going to take a musical break. And for anyone out there looking to host their own show, please do not hesitate to call 708-223-8953. Somebody wants to hear your perspective. Welcome back to Sidestreets and Intersections here on IntellectualRadio.com. And I just want to say from all my iHeartRadio listeners, my Side Streets and Intersection listeners and my intellectual family listeners. Thank you for the support. I was out on last week. I had the flu. My daughter came from out of town, gave it to me, and we are still kind of recovering, not 100%.
I'm sorry, everybody.
And so I just want to thank you guys for the dedication to support us, even though we were off the air for 1 week. Now, getting back to the subject matter, why we must do everything in our power to hold the Black family together. On this day is a day that wasn't by incident, wasn't by accident, wasn't by osmosis. This day was already etched on the books. And to me, as a mother, it really bothers me when I hear mothers just speak so bad about the father, even though he may have not had the greatest attributes. We should never, as parents, dog the absent parent out, because we are all struggling with our issues. And someone has to be intelligent enough, compassionate enough, forgiving enough to understand that we are all trying to figure this thing out called life.
Well, you know what? I appreciate that statement you just made, and that's very, forgiving and motherly and loving and mature and everything. But as children who've had to deal with like broken families, I would guess that we have a different perspective, And a lot of times it's not as easy to be forgiving or whatever it is. Like, I know as far as like being a mother, well, I don't know firsthand because I'm not one, but I feel like, mothers have their own sense of being jaded. You have a different relationship with this person that you've had a child with, but you don't have to deal with the emotions of, the actual, identity crisis of not knowing who you belong to or where you belong or why you aren't there where you belong, kind of thing. So it's like growing up in that circumstance where you don't know who your father is. There are people out there who are kin to you, but you probably may never see them. There's a part of life, I guess, that you spend kind of always wondering and wanting to know why, and you rarely get those answers, but it's like we can kind of work on them now,
I think
he should be here.
Yes, he should. but let me just say this. Let me also give a kudos to your mom, Rakaya. So just to give a little history on how we all came to be. Back when I was 16 years old, I was looking to become this professional singer. And I was too young to sign this particular radio contract with DJ International Records. For all you house heads, Rocky Jones. And my mother, she had to sign for me. And as fate would have it, walks in your dad. And I was younger and he was older. And we, for a long time, just would see each other coming in and out of the studio. And we're going to keep it honest. Okay.
Okay, keep it honest.
I was going through those problems with my mama, and my mama told me I had to get out. And he opened his doors to me. And from that, our relationship would flourish.
Okay.
And so later on, I would come to learn of your mother. Not particularly a good time, but I was mature enough to understand it is what it is. And I never talked bad about your mom, and I want you all to know that.
She's never talked bad about your mom. She's never talked bad about your mom.
I've never talked
her saying something about her hair being so. She had nice hair. Does your mom have nice hair?
Real thick.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's something I just know. I don't know how. I've never seen her, but apparently she has nice hair.
And so I never talked about any of the moms. As a matter of fact,
you never talked about him either.
No, I did not, because I wanted you, Erica, to formulate your own opinion about him not him not being in your life. And so when we were into it on Friday, I mean, really into it on Friday. And when I knocked on the door, I said, "Come and get her. Come and get your daughter." Without hesitation, he walked outside, he walked over to the park, and he sat on the bench and began to talk to her. And for me, it was a surreal moment. Because do you know how many moments in life like that happens and a child, even as an adult, is rejected? And so for me as a mother, I was overwhelmed with emotion. But what it told me is we still have the opportunity to get it right. And I am so glad that she now has a sense of identity. And as I've said before, don't look at it as, oh, that's Erica's mom. Look at it as another extension of an extra mom you guys have. And so I just want to say that if you're out there and you've had a child by a man and it didn't work out, think about the child or the children. And interesting enough, on Friday, when he sat on the bench next to her in the park, she was crying and upset. We were really into it. It would have made a really good reality show on that Friday, on last Friday.
This whole situation would be a really good
Oh,
reality
yes,
show.
it would. You were very receptive to him because he immediately sat on the bench and he put his arm around you. And
Yeah.
you were very receptive. And let me just be honest. He said to me, he said, "Go in the house, go and talk to Boo, go and talk to my mom. I'm talking to my daughter right now." So he actually sent me on my way. And without being hard-headed, I obeyed that, because we have to understand that even at our ages, sometimes we want to not necessarily be in control.
I mean, it makes sense if you feel like I'm your kid more than his kid, because like you raised me. So I mean,
But at that point,
it's understandable that you're like, this is my daughter, okay, you know. But I appreciate him coming over and saying what he said. I mean, I do, because the situation de-escalated very quickly. And to be honest, he tried to visit me in Georgia when I was down there recently for Christmas last year, and I was not going for that. I was like, I had no interest in having him there at all. I was like, I don't know you, I don't want to. You know, that's how I felt then. But that was in December, and it's now August. Things have happened over, since the beginning of this year until now, that kind of put things into perspective for me. I realized that there's no reason to hold a grudge. You know, life happens to everyone. People make mistakes, people make bad decisions. I'm not, some criminal, and I'm not in these bad positions that, his absence for whatever it was, it didn't put me at such a detriment to where my life is just, worthless. So I have the faculty and the ability to respond and understand. And now I'm not as angry and vengeful. So I kind of want to understand where he's coming from. So, I have no reason to not be receptive. As like I said before, I did not care.
So let me ask you, Rod and Patar, what was it? Patar. Okay, first of all, let's do this. Tell the people what your names mean.
Okay. My name, it means the God of the sun. And I'm pretty sure that that's the majority of what it means, because that's what my dad told me. So.
And what about you?
Well, my name Ptah is the God of wisdom, and it's Egyptian God from Egyptian history and culture. If you learn. So.
And what I'm saying is, what's so amazing about that and why it's so important that your dad had the opportunity to name you. And if I'm correct, we want to live up to the names that have been assigned to us.
Mhm.
For example, my name, Angela, means messenger of God. And I think that as my life has gone on, I really try to exemplify that through spoken word, through on air,
What does
even
my
through
name
writing.
mean? I know. Do you know? Or did you just find something that was like, oh, I like that?
No, actually, Erica, when I named you, it took me, you were in the hospital a day before I named you because it was just something about your antics. You were very powerful when you came out,
Okay, that fits.
and the name Erica. And it wasn't, people thought that it was associated with Erica Kane from the soap operas, but it had nothing to do with that. It was
That also
simply,
fits.
it was simply about you are very dynamic, very, I knew that you were going to own whatever it is that you would do in life when you came in to understand who you really were and who you're becoming. And so to give you that name, it meant power.
Okay, that works. I mean, like you don't really know what the word, what the name means, is what you're saying. Is what you're saying? That's what you're saying? 'Cause I'm getting that we're not really certain. Okay, but just
I
so
could be
you.
I could be honest to that. I thought the
No.
name was cute. So,
Okay, hey.
but
Hey.
I will say this, that I have told you to research your name, and
No, I know what it means.
it means, your name means.
My name's like, it's Norse. Erica is actually Norse. Eric and Erica. These are sorcerers, powerful sorcerer or witch, which is not. I don't appreciate that, but at the end of the day, powerful is fine. So you got sun gods and wisdom gods, and you got powerful sorcery. It's like those things all go together somehow. So you know what? Thanks to me. Thank you very much. But yeah. So, living up to names. Go ahead. Continue.
So, in living up to names, I have proposed, I think we had a good conversation this weekend, and I had proposed that why don't you all think about creating an empire, meaning you all are still relatively young enough where you can be molded, even though you still are individuals and you come with your own individual ideologies and things of that nature. However, your sister's in school for real estate. I would propose, and I would be willing to fund this to help you all, that you all would also go into real estate. Because instead of studying about somebody else's empire, it's time that you all build your own empire. So that's something that I would be willing to do if you all will accept that.
You can respond.
I most definitely will accept that. I'm all about building, and I want to start something new, start something with my own ideas and my own mind, and bring my own creativity to life and manifestation. So, yeah, I would love to start in real estate, business, learn as much as I can, and just build an empire, like you said. It sounds good to me.
And what about you, Amir?
Yes,
Yes.
I'm open to the opportunity, and I always saw and I always knew that one day that we would reunite the family back together and build something beautiful.
Now let me ask you something. As male men now.
Male men. Instead of those other, the female men.
Yeah, those. Growing up, just from a male's perspective, what is that like knowing that you had or had a sister and other siblings out there that you didn't have a relationship with? What was that like growing up?
Well, I can say personally, growing up, I had, as far as siblings, I could say I had my brothers, I had two cousins, which are females, and they were there half the time. They lived, with us here and there, and then we moved and stuff like that. So, she, I told her this recently. I was talking to Erica, and I mentioned this to her that I said that we needed her, and she was missed because if she was around during our upbringing, I know more, we would just be more, how you say, well-rounded. We would have more influence and understanding on things. We'd be able to talk to our big sister, and gain insight on that. So we I know a lot of stuff now, but there's just things that your big sister can share with you, and just that you can't get from anybody else. So
Let me just interject before you say something, Patar. Patar. I am so glad you say that again. Big what?
big sister.
That means you are no longer the baby. I have been relieved. I have been relieved. You have
I
responsibility
don't know why
now.
she thinks she's been absolved in some sort of maternal responsibility. Like, it's not ever happening. Like,
Okay. Well,
Okay.
just for that moment, it felt really
Just
good.
so you know.
Okay, that felt really good.
Just so you know, I'm just saying.
But we're all around the same age, though.
I mean, yeah, so it's not like, I feel like the big sister impact would have been like more impactful if we were like so small, considering the fact that he'll be 26 soon, he'll be 25 this week.
Yeah.
So it's like, but I'm feeling like maybe because even though we're all adults, I've had to kind of navigate like life on my own, like by myself with I didn't have any cousins, any like really close friends, no brother, no sister, nobody, it's always been me by myself. So I feel like I have to navigate things a lot by myself. There's a lot of internalizing things, a lot of just thought that I had to keep to myself because I had no one to express it and share it with. Okay, so we differ in that, experience in life that we've had. And I think that, had I had the relationship with you guys that we should all have with our, sibling, with folks and their offspring, okay? I feel it would have made a different impact on me as a woman. I probably wouldn't be starting over again because I would have had someone to kind of make sure that they had something to look up to, It's always been me, myself, so I didn't have to care about anybody else. I was like, whatever. Like, oh, like that.
Yeah.
But had I had younger siblings at the time, like I said, it would have mattered then. I would have steered away from making certain choices because someone was like looking up to me in a sense, So it would have saved me some mistakes and some hassle. But ultimately, I've learned some things. I feel like I'm a wise young soul, so it's appreciated. It is what it is. Life happens. It's just like now that we're here, what do we do going forward?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's a very pivotal question to ask. And not that you're going to get those answers today. That's something you're going to develop over time. However, let me just say that I want to extend whatever it is that I have, whatever services, whatever resources that I have to you, gentlemen, because I don't look at you I just look at you as family and as sons of mine. And I think because I've always had that maternal, just this innate thing to care about people. Now, Erica, I've had many people.
Y'all see my face.
Right. I've had many people literally just live with me.
Yeah, I've done that too.
Never charged them anything. I said, hey, I just need you to get your life together. And sometimes we need to understand that there are people in our lives that are not looking to get anything from us, but are willing to put and invest in us, be it providing a roof over our heads, even giving us the opportunity to share our perspective on air. And so let me just give a little praise to the producer, the other Winfrey, Mr. Earl Winfrey. I came in here back in February as a guest on someone else's show. And the producer saw something in me and said, hey, he initially asked me if I would be willing to run for office. I kind of denounced that a little bit. But he did say, hey, would you be willing to explore the opportunity to host your own radio show? I think you would do very well. I kind of sat on it for a little bit. And then I called him up and said, hey, let's just make this happen. And immediately when I got on air, it was second nature for me. And so I just think that whatever resources we have, this is how the Black family grows. This is an extension of the Black family. This is how the Black family grows, is that we don't take our resources and hoard them, but we're willing to share our resources with other people, our expertise.
Yeah.
And we want other people to execute. It's one thing if a person says, I'm going to give you this opportunity, you just sit on it. Then you can't get mad about if it never comes into fruition because you didn't put the energy forward. And so I am always and will be internally grateful to the other Winfrey. And it's interesting that, let me just talk about IntellectualRadio.com, is that there are over close to 70 shows. Here's a man who had a dream some 4 or 5 years ago and said, hey, I want to give other people the opportunity in our community to talk about things that are relevant to them as well as our people. And so here we are.
This is one of the largest major topics that I could think. There's so many, even in response to like to dating scene and everything, there are so many men with so many just random children with several women, and then women with kids by several men, and just people are just all over the place. And you got siblings or cousins or whatever, people dating each other who have no idea that they're actually even related. That happens. This is like a really serious topic that people need to kind of address and realize that this is a problem. Not denouncing people being single parents and single moms. That's not the issue. Obviously, I've had one my entire life. I don't have any issue with that. I'm fine. I'm fabulous, actually. But the thing is, there's so much power that we don't have as a community. We have it, but we don't mobilize together. We only mobilize or in fear. But it can start at the very basis of home and where you are. You have a child, they have to know who they are. They have to be self-aware. A lot of children are running around with no identity because they don't know who they belong to. People as parents, you have to, because years ago, I tried to find you guys on Facebook, Now, because your names are very unique, it was a struggle, okay? So I didn't succeed, okay? But I've made the effort over the years to try to get in contact with you, Yazzie, and the other ones I didn't even know about, okay? I just thought it was 4, and I'm like, oh, okay, but there are 5. Oh, no, 5, because Emmy, right?
Yeah.
Right. They're like of a set of 3. There's 1, 2, and then there's a younger one, Imhotep. He's not here. I haven't seen him. I don't know where he is. So, yeah. But
Yeah, home right now.
is he home? Well, maybe we should talk to him next time. But it's like we, as children, like I have an identity, that I've always had my entire life. But now it's like that I've met you guys and we've decided to grow a relationship, become familiar, as family members. Now that perspective and that identity and things have kind of changed a little bit, or I recognize that things will change, So this has been pretty impactful, I guess, for me in my life. Just to be able to have had you guys and us to get a little familiar with each other and see what can go and what can happen.
And I think what's really been beautiful over these past several days is that it was natural. It wasn't anything that was contrived. It wasn't like I, as the mother, was trying to overly do and be, because I believe in transparency. Mm-hmm. And because I've had some recent situations that knocked me down and caused me to be very humble and be very transparent. It now teaches me how to interact with other people, if that makes any sense. and to see people not particularly from a level that says, oh, well, they should be doing A, B, C, and D, but just simply seeing people for where they're at and saying, okay, well, Angela, you have had the opportunity to do A, B, and C. You have a right to exercise due diligence when it comes to your people. And now you've been given the task of making sure, from a parental perspective, that you keep these brothers and sister and other sister together.
And other brothers.
And other brothers.
Yeah.
And so,
Oh, wait, pause. I really seriously look, if anybody has like a reality show, okay, this is like all the best of the. Seriously, could you imagine this being on TV? Like, we don't know each other. Okay, we
Yeah,
come
that
from
would-
3 different or 4 different upbringings or whatever. Child, it would be a hot mess. And it'd be delicious. Okay, it would be delicious for nighttime TV.
Yeah,
Prime
very
time.
hot topic.
Yes.
yeah, hot topics, absolutely.
Yes.
So what we're going to do in the meantime, we're going to take a musical break, and we're going to come back and we're going to discuss why it's so important for us to keep the Black family together. I am Angela Champ, your host for Side Streets and Intersections, here with my sidekick, Miss Erica Evelyn, returning soon. Welcome back to Side Streets and Intersections here on IntellectualRadio.com. Just want to say that if you are looking to host your own show, please do not hesitate to call 708-223-8953. And just as a reminder for our viewers as well as listeners that we are an iHeartRadio station, so please feel free to download the app and become a subscriber to Side Streets and Intersections. Now, getting to our last section of this powerful subject matter, why we must do everything in our power to hold the Black family together. While we were on a musical break, we don't understand how much damage that we can cause when we refuse to be open-minded to the thought of letting children get to know who their other siblings are. And I'm grateful, as I've heard some of the stories shared while we were off air, That some people, they're not open-minded because they feel that so much time has passed. So we don't want, let this be an example to all the mothers and fathers out there that are in similar situations on today, that children shouldn't grow up with the question of why. Something as simple as knowing who their brothers and sisters are. That's a question that should be answered. And it shouldn't be a question that requires some in-depth research, some long soliloquy and analysis, some industry.com. We are supposed to know as parents. That's why it's important. We all are grown up here today. So let me just say this. It's important that when you lay down with people, you know who you waking up with. It's important to understand that if you become pregnant by someone, whether by mistake or intent, that you do not withhold that information. Do you know that there are so many people who go through life feeling alone? And because they feel alone, they do things, self-mutilate. They indulge in drugs and they drink because of the loneliness becomes so overwhelming. And now, as we talked, Amin Ra, Patah, and Erica, that even though I'm still learning the names, how these names are, you guys know it's much love. But even that 1 year makes a difference. 365 days makes a difference in the amount of knowledge that you can acquire versus what another sibling may or may not have, which means that that gives you that opportunity to give some form of insight. And so it's interesting to see you as a 26-year-old woman, young woman, who now has some responsibility.
I do. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but just for me, okay, I feel that, like I said, there are some things that I told you last night that we could learn from each other, We were having a conversation earlier. I was kind of confused, still am, but, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, there are things that, like I said, because I've had to like navigate through life alone for the most part, a lot of things that I can tell you about life in general. I think that, you have the same ability to teach me some things. And I am happy that we've had the chance to get to, know each other and everything. I hope that it continues. If I have, if it's in my power, it will continue. Y'all gotta bargain to keep up on your end as well. So, what do you think about that? Like, what do you guys think about going for? Like, what do you think about the whole mixing up of babies and broken homes and so forth? Like, what do you think about that? And do you have any feelings about
You gonna say?
our dad and his philandering ways?
Well, I can say, being raised in Chicago, South Side, West Side neighborhoods, I've seen a lot of families, a lot of broken families, and I've seen a lot of, just conflict within the family that has, hasn't been properly, dispersed or handled. Like, it'll be beef between, relatives or siblings, and it'll end up, exploding and getting bigger within the family and causing more problems than, dying down like it should. I feel like families need to learn how to stick together more, and resolve conflicts and not allow them to grow and fester and become more than what they should be. As far as my father and, families or my siblings and, the ones that I didn't grow up with, I feel like there's still time, to get to know each other. We're still young. Like, like I said, I would never, feel awkward in any, no matter how old I get, personally, I can never feel awkward talking to a relative of mine or a family member that I, didn't really get to know, because I feel like I still, as long as I'm living, I still can get to know you. So, that's one of the positive outlooks on this.
And what about you? What do you think the impact has been of, now coming into, because, okay, this is how I feel. 26 years old, I feel like I'm almost 30 already. That's just how I feel. Although I was just 25 not too long ago, I feel like I'm 30 already. Okay, hey now. All right, so it's like we getting old, okay? So it's like, okay.
For real.
Right? Okay, so we, right?
Life too
Now, coming up into your mid-20s, what do you think the impact is knowing that you have people that you may not have really thought of so much growing up and everything, but then you come to realize, I believe, at least I did, that okay, this is important in a sense, or you choose to make it important to you, to be honest. But how do you feel about having to make that choice and being able to make that choice at this age? Like,
well, seeing like how dad, like some of the mistakes that he made, like by having a certain amount of kids by a certain amount of women, and not really being in their life to see them grow up. I feel like I have to learn from his mistakes pretty much.
yeah.
So like when I have my kids, I'm gonna make sure that I be there for them and raise them.
And I just want to say, because we are coming to the last few minutes of this subject, that this is not going to
invigorating.
be the last time, because we have more siblings to add to this mix. So, and the next weeks to come, I want to we're going to find as many siblings as we can. That is what I will commit to do. I want to say that if you are any kin to Adonis, if you had a child by Adonis, the house head Adonis.
No way back, Adonis.
No way back, Adonis. We're rocking down the house, Adonis.
The house.
Please reach out to Sidestreets and Intersections here on IntellectualRadio.com so that we can continue to build the foundation of family
in the future.
Because it is incumbent upon us as parents. These are the first leaders that our children see. And if we don't have the skill set and the patience and the spirituality to guide our children, how are we to expect anyone else to do it for us? So on that note, I just want to say this has been a dynamic, heartfelt show. And I want to thank you to my listeners.
Next time, we're going to have some tears.
Sidestreets and Intersections here on IntellectualRadio.com. We are an iHeartRadio station. I just want to say that thank you for tuning in on this week. We will be back on next week. But until then, we are family. Hey, yeah, yeah. Well, my brothers. Hey. Until then, bye-bye.